Okay, we're going to go ahead and commence this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Solid Waste Authority for October 10th, 2019 at 3 p.m. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Directors Ashby, Carr, here. Frost, Kennedy, Natoli,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Gitta.
Thank you very much. If everyone could please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if the clerk could please read the announcement for those watching on TV.
This meeting of the Solid Waste Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and the AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, October 13th at 4 p.m. and Wednesday, October 16th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board may sign up using the speaker forms located at the back of the room and bring them to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to switch things around here a little bit. We want to make sure we accomplish our business of the day that's going to require some votes. So I'm going to ask our staff if we can start off with item number 4 first today, okay. And discuss, and that we can get a vote on this ordinance.
Let me read it. So item 4 is the introduction of the ordinance 30 incorporating changes to support state mandated requirements for commercial waste diversion.
Thank you, Chair Guerra and members of the board. I do not see the clicker. Oh, there. Thank you. We held a workshop last month, and this approach has been worked through our stakeholders. We had a number of meetings that fortunately this last summer was attended by a number of members of the business community as well, waste generators expressing their opinions, their opinions, as well as the traditional SWA stakeholders of waste haulers, recyclers, facility operators. There we go. In short, we're under the gun from the state of California. CalRecycle has instructed us to move the needle on recycling compliance with regards to 2 state laws requiring commercial recycling and commercial organics recycling. The requirements for generators do not change. This is a change in our relationship with our franchisees, requiring them to provide service as opposed to offer service for commercial recycling. And I understand we're a little bit under a time constraint, so please stop me if I move too quickly. Organics program, basically the same thing. The requirements are the same. They are already what they are. This is just a function of a different approach to make sure we get the services provided, not just offered. Environmental Management Department will continue to be our arm, the SWA's arm, to get out to the business community and do inspections, follow-ups, and make sure folks have programs. SWA ordinance, basically what I've just said. I'm sorry, eyes are a little bit, I don't have my glasses, sorry. There are exemptions. This is the fundamental premise of the required providing of service. The haulers, our franchisees, are required to provide the services unless the business gains some sort of exemption, a clearance from the SWA, whether they do self-hauling, whether they have an alternative service provider, or whether they have an exemption because they don't need a recycling service. My example is the dentist office does not need an organics program. We have a process. It's already in place. It's already working. The main thing we have heard from our haulers in the last couple of months is that it's very important for SWA to make sure we have a mechanism to get that information back to them so that they know who has been exempted. That's been the biggest concern of theirs, and we have a program in place. We will be refining that in time. Currently, they're getting the data. We'll work out exactly the best format within which to do that. Also, there's de minimis, not enough space. You can't send somebody into zoning non-compliance by losing a parking space to place a recycling bin. This is the form. It's a one-size-fits-all. You check the boxes. You know, there's one place for generators to go to get the exemption. Specifically to address Supervisor Natoli, Board Member Natoli's concerns from a month ago, there are no new enforcement processes here. We're scheduling a 6-month rollout for this grace period just to see where we get from there before we try to implement anything new. There are already provisions in place for failure to comply with having a recycling program. This is the contamination issue, which is, I think, what was at the heart of your concern. Somebody puts a recyclable bottle in the trash. Why would the SWA want to start penalizing generators or haulers? That has never been the SWA's approach to this. So we have no new enforcement provisions on that front. We want 6 months to roll it out. Contamination is far more of an education outreach issue, and it is a big one that we will be working with on both the commercial side and the residential side for the next couple of years. So that is, in short, where we stand. We'd like to roll this out, get this adopted, and roll it out beginning January 1st, and then implement it over 6 months in a grace period. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Well, thank you very much. And I do have, I think, 2 members signed up to speak. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll open the public hearing, and then we will ask these members of the public to speak, and then I'll open it back to the board members on this item.
Sure. Thank you.
I have a Helen O'Connor and then Jeffrey. These
Those are
from the last meeting.
Those are from the last meeting. Oh, wait, we do these already?
Yeah, sorry.
So we have no one from the public signed up to speak. Okay. So we'll go ahead and then close this public hearing and then bring it back to the board for comment. So, and one thing is, I know Board Member Natoli had brought up some concerns about competitiveness, and I think the 6-month period, grace period, will allow us to better get that information so that we have fairness amongst all the businesses. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Sacramento, both county and city, are one of the few remaining jurisdictions in California where we have an open, competitive system for commercial waste management. That's a good thing. That is the primary thing that keeps rates down for the businesses in this region. This works with that, and we no tilting of the playing field, so to speak.
Thank you. Board Member Peters, and then I'll have, yes.
I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't hear the exact words come out of your mouth. So the businesses involved in this ordinance, you've talked to them, and they have agreed that this works for them?
Yes. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
Thank you to you and Supervisor Frost. The SWA stakeholder groups that we convene every summer has over the years tended to be a fairly insular group. For a number of reasons, those are 2 of them. We had a fair number of business generators show up at our stakeholder meetings. We had folks from a car wash, we had folks from restaurants, we had architect firms, folks who were there to express their concerns about how is this going to roll out in terms of, I'm a waste generator, I'm not a waste hauler. That conversation was refreshing. They understand that this is something we need to do because both the city and the county have to move the needle. We're under the gun.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Board Member Natoli.
Yeah, Dave, just as it relates to the outreach to the generators in particular, obviously every restaurant and food preparation facility has to have a clearance from the Environmental Management Department. So you have a cross-reference list. It would seem to me, and again, those folks are inspected annually, but there's contact, there's interface relative to training, that EMD does, and maybe some of that even with concert with solid waste and recycling on either side of the house. But every restaurant and food service facility, food preparation facility is required to have the EMD certification. I say nearly everyone. There's been some exemptions recently related to home preparation and so forth. But so how what roster are we going to use to reach those folks beyond obviously where the haulers provide those services? But if they self-haul, to your point here, are you going to coordinate with EMD or?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there are several prongs that are being used.
Okay.
One is we have already started. Within the last year, we've already done, I believe it's 3, maybe it's 2, and we're in the 3rd process of mass mailings to get, everybody who's got a business license within the city or the county gets contacted. As you mentioned, EMD, who we share data with and communicate with on at least a monthly basis, is already in the field. If you'll recall, when we first rolled out business recycling, restaurants and food establishments were some of the first targets to get the aluminum cans and the beer bottles, et cetera. They're already there. So we leveraged that influence because they're already making visits on a regular basis and just added a box for recycling compliance at the bottom of their checklists. So that is ongoing. Thirdly, what this does is it allows us to more effectively leverage the communication between their service provider and the waste generator. Do you have your organics program? You're a restaurant and you're a customer. I'm speaking as a franchisee now. Do you have this program? Well, you need to, and I'm going to need to provide you a bin. If and a restaurant is going to need the organics program to begin with, unless, of course, de minimis reasons and parking spaces, et cetera. But that basically leverages the outreach and education with our franchisees. We also are currently meeting with our franchisees and the other jurisdictions in the region, even those who are not members of the SWA, to help coordinate the messaging. Ultimately, what bin somebody puts things in or what their processes are in the kitchen, that's human behavior. And this is part of the frustration we have with Cal Recycle is it's not a data collection exercise. This is human behavior. How do we effectively change behaviors to help promote the recycling and get the recycling done well?
So as it relates to schools, then are they treated any differently under the law?
No.
Because in most cases they got 5 days a week food preparation. Some use central facilities, others use on-site. So only though in the unincorporated area of the county and the city of Sacramento, all the other jurisdictions then have to have their own approach to this?
Schools are required to obtain the services from a franchisee. Within the city or county, they have to obtain the services of a franchisee. We actually had 2 school districts, I wish I could remember the names of them, present at our stakeholder meetings, which we held in this room over the course of the summer, asking about whether it's required to have the food waste recycling program just in the food preparation area or whether they needed to engage with the plate scrapings from the students. And our message was, start with the kitchen. These things take time to develop. And so start with that. They are required to have a program.
Well, yeah, and you kind of hit to I didn't parse it as close as you did, but I was thinking about that. So the plate scrapings or the waste, children bring their own lunches, as do other staff members and so forth. But if there's waste, how that gets treated, because on the food prep end is one, but then, what's left over, and a lot of schools have, school breakfast programs now.
So the best way to develop these programs is to not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And that has been our consistent approach for 20 years.
I think I heard that before, so.
So we start with the kitchen prep. That's, SWA's approach has for years been, let's help develop mature programs and not, again, treat it as a data collection
So 6
exercise.
months could be much longer period of time, because some of those things are just going to take time.
Absolutely.
May take a long
And when the environmental management department engages with somebody who has not met a deadline, their first step is not issuing fines.
Yeah, I know.
It's issuing a notice that you need to up your game.
We'll figure out how to deal with the sloppy Joe leftovers.
Right.
Well, thank you. Board Member Natoli, is that?
Yes, sir.
That's good. Well, thank you. I do appreciate the efforts. I know we heard loud and clear from the board here that wanted a simple way for folks to get to apply for the exemptions, looking at making sure that we have equal and fair competitiveness, and being sensitive to the costs to the businesses in the city and county. So, with that, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
In the second.
Second.
Seconded. Has been moved by Mr. Carr and seconded by Board Member Peters. All those vote on the screen. Desired to vote, please vote. And if the clerk could please tally the votes.
Unanimous vote with those members present.
Okay, motion
close.
passes.
It was close.
It was a tough.
Is that the only action item?
That was our, I believe. Do we need an action item for the action summary?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'll ask a motion to approve the action summary, item number 2.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Carr.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Peters. All those in favor, please vote. And then if the clerk could please
Unanimous.
tally the vote.
Vote with those present, members
Okay,
present.
those are present. Madam Clerk, is that the last item that required a vote for the quorum?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, then we'll continue on with the balance of our agenda. Thank you, Mr. Carr.
So your next item will be your general manager's report.
Okay. Oops, too far. Okay, thank you very much, members of the board, members of the public today. Just have a brief summary for you. Last month, we talked about the commercial diversion compliance, and this ties back into the ordinance that you just passed. But you'll see on the blue line on the top, we are still maintaining a 70% compliance in the business recycling the business recycling, and we're right at 36% with the organics. And so I anticipate that with the passage of this ordinance and working with the businesses and the franchise haulers, the organics number will increase as we go into next year. Just want to give you the update there. Next time I wanted to give an update on, this is our Sacramento Regional Conservation Corps cleanup for July and August. We collected 6 tons and they logged 16 days. Seems to be a pretty successful program, and it varies around the city and the county areas. So if you have an area that needs it, please contact
Called in
E
one
SWAT.
earlier today. You know, Tim was right on top of it, so.
Yes.
Just a quick update on the organics in 1383. The latest draft version just came out, I think a couple days ago. Has a very short timeline for responses again. We wanted to highlight some of the major changes in it. They now are actually requiring weekly organics collection. In the past version, they left it up to the local jurisdiction. And so this is a change that I don't think it affects the city of Sacramento, but it does the county. Reduced facility inspections, that's good news. And then revised penalty requirements. And we're still working through that one. It's a little bit more onerous on the city and the county to enforce that, but we will still be working with our partners with CSAC and League of Cities to try and, again, influence and reduce the severity of potential penalties. City and county ordinances, you know, we put out an RFP to work with the city of Sacramento, the city of Folsom, the county of Sacramento for the organics processing. We received 8 proposals. All 3 entities have done their analysis of the proposals for the short term, the next 5 years. We kind of broke it into a 5-year process and then a longer term. In some cases, if you're going to build a digester facility, that's a longer term project. So the evaluation of the near-term proposals has been done. There have been some meetings with all 3 of the entities, staff, to go over each of the proposals. And they will be starting to begin negotiations with the near-term proposals. When we get through that, then they'll work on the longer-term proposers. I want to give you an update. Here's a couple of examples of the artwork that's going on the litter receptacles. Found it pretty unique, and I like what's going on there. They will be very visible to everybody as to what they are. And then last but not least, I wanted to say thank you very much to Etienne Ozrak. Etienne joined the Sacramento County and the SWA staff in 2012, has been an integral part of the staff and preparing reports, analysis, working with stakeholders. He spent a lot of time down with PBIDs, business associations. He's really helped develop the program that we have today. He's leaving to go on to better opportunity, but I wanted to take this time to acknowledge his efforts and say thank you very much, Etienne.
It's way up in the back there.
Yeah.
Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Etienne for all his work here. Thank you for your service.
And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the director? If not, Madam Clerk?
Your next item is your Environmental Management Department update on meeting waste diversion regulatory requirements.
Good afternoon, Chairman Guerrero, SWA board members.
I think we have to lift your mic a little bit. There, yeah.
It's on the top.
Just the mics.
Yeah, I think they set it for my height.
Good afternoon, Chairman Guerrero, SWA board members. Can I have the presentation, please? There we go. My name is Michael Meyer. I'm the division chief for environmental compliance with the Environmental Management Department. And today I'm going to present to you the Business Recycling Program Fiscal Year 18-19 Annual Report. So we'll talk about the SWA EMD agreement, a little bit about the 18-19 activities, the new AB 1826 organic recycling requirements, fiscal 19-20 work plan, and some long-term goals, and then take any questions you may have. So SWA and EMD, as you know, has an agreement. The term is through 7/18 through 6/21. We perform inspections to verify compliance. We respond to complaint responses. We do enforcement actions. We attend community events and industrial meetings or industry meetings. We develop outreach materials and do educational trainings. And we also have report requirements as we report back to the SWA. Just wanted to acknowledge some folks here. As you may or may not know, Lisa Jamison and Sharon Zimmerman, they both retired. Chris Hunley came in, and he was the supervisor of the program and really started just to really develop the program and kind of get it really on track. We had Zach and Sarah. Sarah's here today, and Ray and Lisa. They all really have been integral in this sort of process. And now Chris Hunley is going to move aside, and the new supervisor of this program is going to be John Lewis, and he's here today as well. So I just wanted a little bit of acknowledgments here. So in 18-19, we performed 1,805 inspections. 1,100 of those were commercial business recycling compliance inspections. 705 were organics materials recycling compliance inspections. 6 multifamily, and 3 complaint responses. We did no enforcement activity. So for outreach in 18-19, we attended the Berks Sacramento Area Sustainable Business Awards event, gave out an award. CSU Earth Day, we also have the SWA board that we attend, the SWATAC, the SWIG meetings, and we do a lot of SWA EMD coordination. We are just down the street from them, so it makes it actually pretty easy. So AB 1826 organics recycling, the Tier 3 the new Tier 3 requirements started in January 1st, 2019. 4 cubic yards of solid waste must be separated, organic materials for pickup. So the 705 organics facilities inspections were between January and June. There was a new recycling new organic recycling brochure that we put together and essentially get passed out to the facilities. And then when we continue, this is sort of like the main sort of, as this is new information, we continue to have staff and industry training and just education. I think that's really the main sort of component that we're concentrating on. For 1920, we have a goal of 2,500 inspections. 1,300 of those would be in organics recycling, 1,200 business recycling, and again, continue with the education and outreach efforts, all with a budget of $700,000 for this fiscal year. And so far, we just pulled our numbers for this first 3 months, and we have completed right on targets 576 total inspections. 270 of those are business recycling, and 306 were organics recycling inspections. So essentially, we're on target for our projections here. Our long-term goals is to further implement the organics inspections with health inspections at food facilities. Currently, the first round of inspections are being performed by dedicated inspectors to provide enhanced educational outreach. We're hoping that we are heading towards where the health inspections, the food facilities, the restaurants will just essentially be a checkbox at the bottom of their form, so that they can just say, are they doing it or are not they doing it? Are they not doing it? Right now, it's essentially an education, a little more education that needs to be done initially, and then essentially it goes on to be performed with the health inspections. And that will result in lower average time per inspection, lower per inspection cost, and I think our efficiency would essentially start to increase. We also want to develop a multi-language outreach materials. So with that, I'll take any questions as best I can, and I do have all my backup here. So.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the report. Questions from the board? If not, I want to thank you, and we'll accept that report.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Your last item is your comments from the public.
Are there any members from the public wishing to address the board? Seeing none, then we will adjourn at 3:28 p.m.